Shir is dedicated to Nishmas Rachalei Bas Rav Chaim Tzvi. Just to recap, let me tell you where we're going the next couple of shirim, and also where we've been the past few shirim, just to give you a sense of where we're heading to. So in the past 3 or 4 shirim we've introduced the malacha of Boneh, and together with Boneh we studied Makar Patish. The two malachas are very much related, and then we went through the details of Makar Patish, both in terms of the concepts and lumdus of the malacha, and then in terms of the halach lamais applications of malachas Makar Patish. Again, the finishing touches, the asiyas hakli that are involved when one engages in the isra of Makar Patish. That's what we spent the last 3 or 4 shirim on. Then we looked at, in the last year, the halach lamaisi surid rabbanon that come under Makar Patish, primarily the isra of hashmas kol, the prohibition of generating musical sounds or any kind of rhythmic sounds on Shabbos, noise making on Shabbos with instruments. That's part of the gzeira shema yavel atak and klishir. And then now we're going to double back a little bit and go back to Boneh, because again we introduced conceptually some of the aspects of Boneh in this year 4 shirim ago, but now I want to go ahead and go through the details and the pratim of Melechas Boneh. After that, we're going to take a look at, again, the dinim d'orais and drabanan of Boneh. Then we're going to look at the isser of mechatech, cutting things to a shear. Then we look at korea, and then with an agenda of putting it all together, the malachas of Makar Patish, korea, mechatech, a little bit of Boneh, and then see how that fits into the isser of opening packages, tuna cans, and all of that entire sugya that we'll take a look at as that's where we're heading. So that's the lay of the land. And what we discussed a number of weeks ago when it comes to our introduction to Melechas Boneh, we pointed out that the Av Malach of Boneh was certainly the Asiyas HaMishkan, the Binyan HaMishkan. And in the Midbar, they went ahead, Klal Yisrael built the Mishkan, they inserted the Krushim into the Adanim, and in the context of that structure, by inserting the beams into the Adanim, the sockets, so that insertion as part of the Binyan HaMishkan was the source, the Av Malach of Melechas Boneh. We saw a series of Rambams, as explained by the Even HaEzel, Rav Isser Zalman Meltzer, that it seems that the way we're going to be magdir Melechas Boneh is that when it comes to the Av Malach is going to be defined based on 2 components. Number 1 is you have a binyan, you have a structure that's mechuva lakarka, that's something that's used either for shelter or otherwise is attached to the ground. The fence could also qualify. And the manner in which you go ahead and create that structure is by chibur chalakim, by taking different units and putting them together one on top of the other. Now, we saw that if you have only one element or the other, you have either the structure but not the chibur chalakim, or you have chibur chalakim without the structure, so that's going to be a tolder. That's going to be one step removed from the Av Malacha. For example, if you have an OL keva, you have an OL, a structure, something that's providing shelter, and it's in a place that's kavua, it's fixed in place, is not something that is temporary. So there you have the structure, you have the shelter, without the chibur chalakim. When you have a permanent kind of tent, let's say an army tent, that's a very sturdy tent, so you're not going ahead and attaching piece into piece, you're not building, but you're generating a structure. That's the OL keva, that's going to be a tolda of Melechas Boneh. Similarly, the Rambam writes a tremendous chiddush. Rambam tells us that if you go ahead and you make cheese on Shabbos, hamagaven gvina on Shabbos, the Rambam writes that's a very big chiddush. It's a tolda of Melechas Boneh. A tolda of Melechas Boneh. What does that have to do with building whatsoever? My high. How does making cheese relate whatsoever to the Melacha Boneh? So the answer is because, says the Even HaEzel, when you go ahead, and the Rambam points this out as well, when you go and make cheese, how do you do so? So you do so by layering one on top of the other the rennet, the curdles of culture, and one on top of the other until you go ahead and create a block of cheese. So that's the chibur chalakim, one on top of the other, attaching, fastening one to the other. And says the Rambam, that's going to be a told of Melechas Boneh. This related very much to how we understood the Rambam's formulation of certain kinds of binyan bekalim. When it comes to certain kalim, so the Rambam says when you create a certain type of kli, yeah, that's Melechas Boneh. A different kind of kli, that's not Melechas Boneh. Very, very strange, very difficult. The Rambam told us, for example, that when you make a kli cheres, a kli adama, so that qualifies as a told of Melechas Boneh. There is no structure, that's for sure, so it's not going to be an Av Malacha, but how do you go ahead and make a kli adama, kli cheres? So you go ahead and take your clay and you layer one piece on top of the other to go ahead and form your kli. So that's going to be chibur chalak, and that's going to be a tolda Melechas Boneh. We were medayik, but the Rambam says that when it comes to a kli adama, he makes no mention when it comes to kli mateches. or kli even. Why not? Perhaps because when it comes to those kalim, yes, it won't be an isur d'oraisa the tolda because it does not involve chibur chalakim. When you go ahead and make a kli mateches, so you're not going ahead of metal kli, you're not going ahead and layering one piece on the other. The Rambam writes, for example, that if you go ahead and you make a kli zechuchis, if you blow a glass kli, so when you blow a glass kli, the Rambam told us that that's not going to be an isur of boneh, that's rather going to be an isur of makre patish. What's the difference in a glass kli, which the Rambam classifies as makre patish, and a kli adama, which the Rambam classifies as the malacha of boneh? What should be the difference? So once again, the difference is, yes, asiyas kli could indeed be meleches makre patish. You're making a kli from scratch, you're generating something that's complete and that's new. That indeed could be makre patish. Why is it not boneh? The answer is because, yes, it's not a shelter. Number two, when you blow a kli zechuchis, a glass kli, that does not involve chibur chalakim. If it doesn't involve chibur chalakim, so you lost the heart, the essence of meleches boneh, so therefore you have